And we got who's posting the pictures who's posting the clips? Is that Alize? Is that you? You gotta make sure you look at them, man. You gotta look at the it's not that when the video is there's a picture behind it or something.
Yeah.
And it's like mid talking. You're like, guys.
Oh, no, I thought.
I'm just kidding.
Alize's like, I tried, bro. There wasn't a good shot of you.
Some examples past you, Adam. He gives me a lot of still faces.
Okay, well, I'll work on the. I'm gonna work on the still faces later.
Yeah. Just in between, like when
Get together, give that nice little starry gaze.
Yeah. What's up?
That Zoolander. Yeah, they
probably got it.
The team did a lot of clips for you and Jeff, bro.
They seem to love it.
You guys held it down. How many clips you guys do for that? Who does that?
I think that one was like close to 20.
Close to 20 clips, dude. You held it down, bro.
And it's not easy being that host like you are. You got to keep the ball up.
Give us some feedback on what's up, everybody. Welcome to Beyond the Letter.
Yo.
We got Sammy in the house with me, with Andy and Alize and Nancy. Jeff and Sammy hosted a few episodes ago.
Yep.
And it was a great episode.
Fun.
From what I hear, it was fun, and the team got a lot of clips from it and stuff like that to be able to share. But bro, you hosted it. What's it like hosting?
Well, I think a few things, right? So like we have some friends coming on for another one,
next
an upcoming
episode.
one. Yeah, the next one. And people are, and even thinking of like Chandler. She was like, "Hey, talk to me about the podcast. It's long form podcasting, right?" And so it's much more conversational. So, but to create the vibe. So, like, the best way I could say it is like this. It's like our favorite sports show, NBA on TNT, no longer that. Now it's on ESPN. But their chemistry is insane.
Yeah.
So you could watch it and you're just laughing, but you're also learning about sports. Other broadcasts, it's so cold and, like, dead up there.
Yeah, they're talking about the game.
And it's just like, it's not funny. They're trying to be funny. And it's like, it's not as good because these guys have chemistry. But I think a lot of it comes from the quality. So Ernie in NBA TNT, he helps host, but creates the stage, and there's trust in it. So there's something different, even than about like being on it. Like when I'm on it with you, I lean into you because you're leading us into it, and we could respond. But you're like really creating the vibe and the flow.
Yeah.
So if you're hosting, you got to create that, or you could have a lot of you could have a lot of like you're talking. You're like, so what do you think?
Yeah.
So what do you think? So
sort of dead.
But I think that it was also fun because Jeff and I are such good friends.
Yeah.
And then just even throughout texting, he was just talking about his story and all that. And I was like, man, we should just talk about that. So it was fun.
Yeah.
I'm glad it was good. Good clips, you know.
It was great from what I hear. And then from what I gather from people that are guests or regular guests is everybody gets nervous when I'm doing an episode because anything is on the table.
I love it. See, I love it. Chandler will ask me, I'm on the podcast, my wife Chandler, and she's like, what are you going to talk about? I was like, who knows, man? Yeah. You never know. But it's fun because like I'm like, I'll give my thoughts and opinions, but you're kind of like half robot, so you kind of have such a download. Anything you're talking about is literally, you've already thought about it about 10 layers deep. You know? But no, it was... I really enjoy it. I think it's a good future. Not everyone can do it. People watch it and they just think, man, maybe I could do it. But you just need the right people on, the right guests. But really it comes down to like the host. Like you've done a few and you'll do more kind of solo episodes. Yeah. And that's even harder too.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Because you have to keep it going and you have to keep people interested. But I just think it's a cool space where where it's, what are we in? You're almost 3?
3. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's
year
crazy.
3. Yeah.
Yeah.
October would be our 3rd year.
Yeah.
Doing this.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. So we're in August right now. So
we're about to hit season 4.
We're 2 months away. We're 2 months away from going into our 4th year as a podcast.
That's crazy.
Team knows here. Andy wasn't on the original crew, but relatively short after. But Alize and Nancy have been part of the original crew. What did we say on day 1 when we met, how long we were doing this before we looked up and even considered to not do it anymore?
Yeah, I think it was a year.
No,
was it
come
5 years?
on.
5 years?
It was like 3.
It was 3.
Oh,
it was 3. It was 3.
They were listening. They were.
They had to help each other out. They didn't know they were going to be in class today.
They each said 1 year, so together.
It was 3.
Yeah, it was 3 years. We said we're going to commit for 3 years. Obviously, we look at data, we look at numbers. people. The amount of emails that we get from like, that's one thing we don't talk about is like a lot of publicists email us.
Really?
On behalf.
To try and
To try to come on the show.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
I just, it's not a priority for me as of yet. And then obviously the publicists, like the ones, we haven't had any like massive names. In fact, we've had one recent email we got of a pretty notarized person, but that we'll probably do something next year with. But
for sure.
So like emails all the time of like, hey, this person's in this field, they're Christian, this and that. And so we get hit up by like sponsors all the time. I actually just got hit up by like a hospital who wanted me to like for free come and do a clinic and consider being a sponsor and stuff. So like,
and how many podcasts don't have most podcasts all have sponsors.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
so like to have no sponsors for this, and sponsorship helps pay for things. So like that's also pretty cool to have no sponsors. For sure. And the impact, I mean, along with, I think a lot of people who are listening know, or maybe half and half, but you're also running a church. Yeah. A pretty significant sized church along with this podcast, and really two others, right? The Beyond I Do, the marriage one, and the Bible Club. Yeah. Which is. And they all, for me, they all have different goals in mind. You know, they all have unique opportunities that I think kind of God has called us to. And so beyond the letter, I haven't, I think there's a time in the team, some of the team here knows, like, there's going to be a future where we ask people to support us and, we're going to ask them to, consider financially contributing to help us to continue to expand, reaching people. And I hear all the time, you and I were just talking about it today, golfing. I hear all the time from people that are actually atheists who listen to this show because, or they're agnostic. They believe, God is real, but they don't, think he's personal or anything. And I get DMs all the time of like, hey, you are the only person of faith I listen to because of the vastness of topics that we talk about, that they say, I think it's interesting how a Christian thinks. Most Christians I hear from, they're just like saying just what they're angry. And they're saying what they're angry about. Like, I don't, this is happening. And they say, but your podcast, not just me, but like who we talk to and what we talk about is like, we're talking about artificial intelligence. We're talking about disciplines, we're talking about, things we watch, things we like, things that we do, things we don't like, how we, handle raising children, all that kind of stuff like that. So it's just cool. Like, that's what we set out to do. That's what we're doing it. We set out to be a front door for faith. I want to make, I want to flood churches, not our church, with people coming to faith. And so biggest encouragement to me would be another pastor, which I have heard before, of saying, hey, somebody came and visited my church because they saw your podcast. Maybe a little tour one of these days. You know me. You're like a little California tour.
You're like,
live
that's what Sammy wants to do, crazy. A live podcast.
A live podcast. It would be so fun to look at where people are listening from. Hit a few stops along the way, partner with the church.
Well, I've shared with you the data from pray.com before that we're listening to a lot in Texas. And,
that's what I'm saying.
What else was it?
Wasn't it Florida? I feel like
Georgia,
Florida.
Yeah, Texas, Georgia, Florida.
It'd be cool to look at where the top ones, the top 5, and just doing like a Beyond the Letter pop-up.
Yeah, for sure.
That just could be cool, especially as people are listening. But you know me, I'm always.
I think it's got to get a little bigger for that.
For sure. I'm always dreaming and scheming.
Sammy's always dreaming.
I'm always dreaming and scheming, but
no, it's it's cool. We're going into year 4, and we said we're not going to look up till year 3. Yeah, and I don't think we plan to stop. And we're doing more. I think one of the only things that we are considering with everything we do is how do we help give people an opportunity who are being encouraged to this. To contribute, because this does take, finances, and it takes energy, and it takes a team, and we've had sponsors approach, and but for me, I'd rather just people just say, hey, I just want to give towards it. I don't, because the moment we got to consider sponsors, I got to consider
what you're sponsoring, what they want you to say, all that
and
stuff.
And then making sure they get what they need and all that kind of stuff like that. I'd rather just, and we're doing it through Adam Mesa Ministries, which is, it's a DBA of our church,
Yeah.
so it's what our church owns. It's
But
not what I
the
own.
listeners
but,
sponsoring it could be a really great idea. Like anyone, hey, we love it, want to give to it.
just set a monthly, you know, like partner
And
with
just
us
to
through
share-
Adam, you know.
Just to share those top 5 states we're hitting right now. Number 1 is Texas. Number 2 is California. Number 3 is Illinois. Number 4 is Georgia, and number 5, believe it or not, is North Carolina.
Dude, that's crazy. Furnace people. No, just
Yeah,
playing.
what up, Bernie? Hey, come on in. Hey, we'll partner with you.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll do a little partnership with Elevation.
Exactly.
That's pretty.
Dude, yeah, that's crazy. Illinois, that's the one I forgot.
So
'Cause my
California
wife's
was number 3.
Yeah.
California was that's
Yeah.
California's
Isn't
that's wild.
Dallas and Houston are both above LA.
That's crazy.
And those are
Dallas and
easy
Houston
to
are
do
bigger
a
than
pop
LA.
up there.
Well, I'm gonna be in Houston in a month, so
Oh, you got to. You
me
also
and
got to hang
Ashley
with the
are doing
home.
a service.
How
at a
long
church.
are you there for the weekend, or just for like in and out?
For the weekend? Yeah, I think
I'll
we're gonna
text
do
you
the
with
weekend.
the other
Yeah.
homie too.
Oh yeah,
with
yeah,
Dave,
yeah.
yeah,
No,
but-
yeah. Well, yeah. Let me talk to Daniel first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But yeah, I'm gonna be at September 21st. Ashley and I are doing a. I guess you could say it would be a Beyond I Do thing. They want to interview us on marriage and relationships. So
That's
it
amazing.
would be like a Beyond I Do collab. But we'll be at Hope City September 21st.
you're already doing the
in
tour.
Houston.
Look at
Yeah,
this.
look at that.
I spoke it into existence. I'm not sure where am I. Where am I? Somewhere. One of
Yeah,
these.
yeah, yeah.
There
You're
you
one
are.
of there you go.
Spoke it into existence.
Yeah, so we'll be there, and then yeah, but we'll see what happens. We're gonna be doing some other stuff next year and
Yeah.
everything like that. But yeah, I think for us, we've gone back and forth going into the 4th year.
Yeah. What do you feel? What's the emotion? What are you feeling? I was also thinking of like, if you could. I know you're already doing 3, but if a 4th pod ever came around,
Yes.
what comes to mind?
Oh, I know you're gonna like this. I've said it before since the beginning.
What?
The 4th podcast would be someone could correct me if I'm not wording it wrong, but it's Beyond the Wealth.
Ooh.
And so it would be a finance and leadership podcast.
That
and
would be
so,
amazing.
yeah, that would be all surrounded around, finance, financial literacy, financial growth,
Yeah.
and also leadership, business entrepreneurship, interviewing,
Wow.
entrepreneurs, CEOs, nonprofit owners, managers, all that stuff like that. Real estate investors, all that kind of stuff. But people of faith.
Dude, that would be
So,
crazy.
Yeah, the only reason why we haven't launched it as a priority is because, for me, and you would know this is
Yeah.
like, I got to be on year 2 or 3 by the time I launch it, and so
Yep.
for me, I could sustain Beyond the Wealth probably for like 11 months.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
then once I would go into year 2 and 3,
Yeah.
it would be a lot of work for the team to
For
because
sure.
that's going to be that's going to be heavily interview based.
Yeah, it has to be.
So
For sure.
So the team would have to like.
It would probably have to be. Would you do it at a different location too? Like it would be a unique.
No, I think we would
setup?
do it here.
Still do it here?
Or we would change the set a little bit, and we would do it through Zoom as well.
Oh, that would
so that
be
gives
cool.
us access to individuals.
Well, like you did
all over.
If people didn't watch, you did the Carrie Newhoff.
Yeah, I've done Carrie Newhoff's. I've done Sean Morgan was live, but I
Yep.
also just did Brad Lomenick.
That's
so I was
right.
just on the H3
So I think
Leader
we,
podcast.
We
and
have
that was
so
through
many
Zoom.
access to these leaders that could zoom in
Oh,
or
yeah,
be
for
there.
sure.
Also, those from the church, and also your just friendships around the area. I
Yeah.
think Beyond the Wealth could be.
And people want to be on that kind of stuff,
For
you
sure.
know. And it would be Bible Club is on a different not platform, but on a different account because that's pure Bible. We're trying to
sure.
build that differently.
Yeah.
But it's all owned under the ministry
For
of
sure.
Patria.
For
I
sure.
don't own this podcast. I don't own Beyond I Do. I don't own Bible Club. Our
So
church
Beyond
and our
the
ministry
Wealth goes because Beyond I Do is under the same.
umbrella with Beyond the Letter. So Beyond the Wealth would be under
any
that
of your
same
Beyonds
umbrella, and it
would
would
be
be
that,
in this studio as well. Yeah. So that
So sick.
That would be a goal. That was one actually I had planned to do before Beyond I Do, but it seemed like the marriage and relationship stuff was
was
it's
good.
obviously way
For
more
sure.
popular.
For
so
sure.
that prioritized, and Ashley was down to do it.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to do it without
Can't do it
Ashley.
solo, yeah.
like it's weird.
Let me talk about marriage by
With
myself.
my non-existent wife, or my shy wife.
We're not
you
going
know.
to talk about that. It's
Yeah.
just- yeah.
But Beyond I Wealth, I
Yeah.
think, and then Beyond the Wealth, that'll happen one day in the future. And I think even if we started it once a month, we could do it. To me, it's like because Beyond the Letter is an umbrella, we could do it because we've built it.
Yeah, for
if we
sure.
spun Beyond Wealth to its own thing, it would be hard to manage. But if we just started like Beyond Wealth sometime in 2026
would
and
you
just
keep
did
it to
once
like
a month.
a tight 30-minute more?
Yeah, I would respect people's time.
A 30-minute interview.
I'd say 30 minutes to an hour.
Yeah,
Yeah, like Beyond I Do.
For sure.
Beyond I Do is under 45 minutes every
Yeah.
week for the most part.
For sure. That would be, I think people would love it. And the stewardship of that, you look at the numbers of the amount of boomers that are retiring and will be leaving the workforce.
For sure.
And millennial and Gen Z coming in. So the stewardship of everything.
Yeah.
I think all of that would be
And
huge.
talking about the dynamics of the change in in the landscape right now with Gen Z and stuff like that, and the reason why I said I think you'll like this is because we just at our church we just launched a 5-week intensive course.
Yeah.
We have I think a little over 700 people signed up for it, and so they're for 5 weeks. It's all on leadership.
Yeah.
And then you were like, dude, that's so impressive.
For sure.
Like that's a wheelhouse.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
we got to lean into that.
100%.
Which I agree. It's just you got to do it right.
Got to do it right.
Yeah, and
but
you gotta do it well.
It was crazy just seeing. I mean, it was you and your pops. I know they will be after it. They'll be online. But if people want to jump into the sprint, they still can, right? Are they still
Not
able
by
to?
time this goes live, but by time
Sadly.
this goes live, Nancy would know the answer. It would be already week by week on the website already.
Oh, that's amazing.
Potentially. So patriasprints.com.
Yeah, this could go live on either the 24th.
Not this episode, but like our sprints.
The
like
sprints.
remember how the Apologetics one we were kind of doing it week by week, uploading it.
So it would upload.
Do we plan to do that for those? Okay, yeah. So
Because I think that would be huge for people to watch it, just experience it, and then do your best to try and come in person, especially if you're local. These sprints are amazing, but it is really cool to see how many people pulled up for the leadership sprint and the people that we have coming to it as well, like the guests that are going to be coming and what we're going to be talking about leading in the social age, which is huge.
for sure.
Kind of
that one.
you tapped on that just briefly. You were talking about it, but
I'm excited for
that one's going to go crazy.
Yeah, I got some content. I'm gonna obviously by the time this airs, that lesson would already have happened or something. So people go see it patriasprints.com.
Yep.
That one's going to be unique, and I can already share about the content in it because
Because it's already gone.
Yeah, because it's already happened.
Yeah.
But even if it'd be a good little precursor. But just part of it and what I'm going to do, because we're in this leadership sprint, so we're covering, leadership starts with vision. Second week is about leading when you're not in charge.
Yeah.
I lead a church now for a year and a half. For the first 15 years of full-time ministry, I worked for somebody. For sure.
So
I was not in charge.
Yep.
And if I had anything in charge, it was of a small team.
Yep.
So for 15 years and even beyond, I started my first full-time job was at Zumi Skate Shop at 16.
Right.
So I've been working full-time since I was 16 years old.
Not being the main person in charge.
Yeah.
Yep.
I had a
your
marketing company,
that would be
but at the
yours,
same time, I had clients,
Right.
So I, I still in some way wasn't in charge,
Right, right.
So clients, I was slave to the contract that we made and stuff like that, we're covering how to lead when you're not in charge, how to lead a team. Our boy Vance Roush is coming down from Northern
Crazy.
California,
Incredible
who
leader.
runs Overflow. Phenomenal. He's going to do one on
and you
leading
said
your
it.
team.
You said he's a leader in the millennial generation.
Yeah.
That is killing it. And that's what I think is so beautiful. Every generation, I think we talked about it on this last sprint, but being multi-generational, which is beautiful, but seeing someone in the business sphere that is absolutely dominating is such a cool thing to hear and see, and how he's navigating. Because us millennials, we're like that bridge, right, between the older, we still remember playing outside, right, before the sun goes down, but then we're like the in-between when social media came and all technology and AI. So, it's going to be really cool to hear kind of his point of view and what he's going to share.
For sure. Yeah, it's going to be dope. And then we're going to do some Q&As with some other successful business people as well.
Yeah.
None of it's 100% locked down, but it is tentative. So, we're potentially going to interview a woman who her dad invented popcorn ceiling and drywall, and so she's like an heiress to a large, construction company, and then And then someone that in our church that we know as well, Mr. Ross, that owns like 7 or 8 car dealerships.
Yeah.
That's just massively successful. But
Yeah.
part of his story is he got education from Inglewood from redlining and bussed into like Melrose. So when all that stuff was happening in the 60s and 70s, where they were giving African American kids opportunity, it's like Kamala Harris was like an advantage of that as well. It was like they took black students in the hood and they would get a bus and they would bring them into like Beverly Hills so they could be educated with the wealthy white kids. And so Mr. Ross was like a benefactor of that. So he got exposed to wealth and stuff like that and then decided to, start car business through all this story. So we're going to interview him and do stuff, and hopefully we'll be able to get some of these individuals on the podcast. But speaking of like Beyond Wealth, like that's an idea of like why we would interview and why we call it Beyond Wealth, because all of this stuff is not beyond all these things it's, it's not just about those things. It's about going beyond.
For sure. It's just a gateway. It's like, you might come here for wealth and leadership, but we're going to talk about about like multiple ways. Those are going to be focuses, but I think about the stewardship of wealth, not only just getting wealth, the stewardship of wealth, stewardship of leadership, walking in integrity. I think all those things. Yeah. And to hear from that angle, I think would be beautiful. I mean, you see it like, almost 700 pulled up?
Yeah.
It was packed.
It was packed. And the energy was high.
It was.
I've done other sprints where it was packed, but the energy was.
It's a little bit of a
everybody
grind.
Feeling it. It's like this was like energy was there. And so
for sure.
The one though that I'm excited that I think is going to have a lot of fruit for people because it doesn't really get talked about is going to be the leading through technology and with technology, because a lot of individuals are overlooking that. And I get a lot of questions from leaders today about this podcast and other things and what we're doing through social media. Yeah. And, they're like, I want to do it. How long would I have to do it before it's fruitful and all these things like that? And, how did you do it? And all these things. And, part of the short answer is like we started doing things 6-7 years ago. And so for us, like we're building on what we have worked on for 7 years. So what looks like when we say, it's been 3 years, which is still a long time to
But you had other podcasts that you started and stopped.
I've had other podcasts
like
I started, stopped, but also I've done, so what happened was 2018, I built this system at my house, and I have video. When we do the sprint, I'm actually going to share videos of this stuff. Cool. So 2018, I built a system where on Fridays at 8 a.m., I started doing online prayer in 2018. And I would live stream. It would be me in my office.
Pre-COVID, too.
I would cut to Jermaine. Jermaine would lead worship from where he was at in his living room. And then I would have the Bible up on my computer screen. And then we would read a verse, go down it. Wow. And then we would pray. And people could submit prayer requests.
That's great.
So I'm doing that in 2018. Built a system, live streamed it, YouTube, Facebook, everything like that. COVID happens 2020. Everybody's trying to go live stream. No one knows
you already have
how to do it. Yeah, nobody knows how to do it.
It's crazy.
So immediately, because at that time I started sunsetting my marketing company. Yeah. Wasn't doing it much. But then everybody like a lot of churches and other individuals, business people are trying, they got to like move a lot of their business online. And they have the finances to do it. They just don't know how. So immediately I'm thrown into, within 3 months of COVID, I'm leading the National Day of Prayer with, at that time, it would have been Mike Pence. And so Pray.com reaches out to me and they're like, hey, there's things we don't know how to do. Like you've done it. What system do we use? People are calling in. They're sending videos. What system are you using? So then I'm building these like packages for people that they can develop. And
during
COVID. That's crazy. And then the King Center gets a hold of me, Martin Luther King Jr. family. Someone I know said, man, I don't, they said, hey, our podcast used to be done in person because of COVID. We can't, it's got to go online. We don't know how to produce it well and all these things. And one guy was like, man, I know one guy I know who I've seen him do prayer stuff. Let me reach out to him. And then he reaches out. I'm like, dude, I'm not really, I don't really run my company like that anymore. And he's like, I'm like, who's this for? Because he asked me like, I can't tell you who, but interested, blah, blah. And I'm like, no.
I need to know.
I'm like, who's this for? And he's like, well, it's, Bernice King, Martin Luther King Jr.'s daughter, and it's for his foundation. And
Crazy. You're like, of course.
I'm going to say no, So then I spend the next 9 months producing, and then a Facebook executive had a show, and then they didn't know how to produce it. Another friend said,
Crazy.
hey, I saw this church it's the only one I ever seen. Adam was posting on Instagram what he was doing.
So it's all training for you.
It was all training.
For what you're kind of doing right now.
Yeah. And so,
wow.
How many people were on that prayer when we were doing it in 2018? Live? I don't know, like 11?
Yeah.
14?
Mm-hmm.
But I did it for like 8 months to a year.
That's great.
Every single Friday.
Wow.
And also, our church started Friday prayer during COVID, and I gave it to my dad. So this system I had.
It's still going.
Yeah, it still goes.
But doesn't your dad still
my
does
dad
the prayer?
does it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we literally,
So cool.
It went from me from 2018 to 2020, essentially.
Yeah.
And then 2020, I gave it to my dad, and we improved the system.
Wow.
And my dad still does it today.
It's crazy.
5 years later. Well, really, it's been 7 years that we've done Friday prayer online.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So you look at that, and then you look at, producing for National Day of Prayer, producing for a Facebook executive, their show, producing for the King family.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2023, we decide to do our own. Well, in some ways I could tell people, oh, it's just, it's just, everybody wants to be like, oh, it's kismet. It's just, I did it and God just breathed on it. And then it was a miracle, you know, and I can't say that. Yes. Has it been all God?
Yep.
Yes. Has it all, but God has been on the pages the past 7 years, the past 8 years. So it's not that the ball started rolling 3 years ago. The ball started rolling, not in I could say 2018, but I've been producing podcasts for other individuals even since 2014.
Yeah.
So
which is
11 years ago.
What is that? That's early on in the podcast game, right?
That was not. It was non-existent.
Yeah, that's what's crazy.
Yeah, my first podcast was in 2015 that I produced for myself.
That's crazy.
So yeah,
and I love it because I think it's like, people are like, oh, you're, in the Christian community, be like, man, God breathed on it. You're so blessed, And the non-Christian people be like, oh, maybe you got lucky or you rolled into favor. And it's like, those athletes will say, I think Kobe would say it, others would say, it's like, man, the more I practice, the luckier I get,
Yeah.
And I think that there is the thing of God breathing on stuff for sure. Yeah. But there's also the history of, like you said, since 2014, working on something, and you add your works with the belief what God wants to do, and there's magic in that. But like you said, so many people just want, oh, I'm just going to start something and hopefully God breathes on it and then is giving up. I mean, you didn't do it for, I think a lot of also people do it for the numbers, right?
Yeah.
In the prayer moment, 11, 12, 14, but for a year. You kept going. You didn't stop and gave it over. And so I think of even I think we've talked about, Pastor Philip Anthony Mitchell. Mm-hmm. You hear his story for years. He's been pastoring. Yeah. He's been doing what he's been doing.
A couple hundred people.
Yeah, just faithful. And then God's the one who, yes, he breathes on things, but it's not like, oh, he just started it and then that happens. There's the faithfulness aspect, which again, and that's why I love about even when we were talking on our sprint on leadership and all this stuff. And I think that this is going to be huge leading in the age of social media, because I think it's just showcasing, hey, a lot of you guys have watched the podcast. This is how it started, like showing those things in those early days to keep it going, which is beautiful.
Well, yeah, because then one of the things I'm going to do is have the team pull all of our current data numbers for Beyond the Letter and Beyond I Do in Bible Club and social reach, listenership, and I'm gonna give that data to in our sprint, and I think it's gonna shock everyone
for sure.
And I'm gonna say, number one, all of this started from scratch 3 years ago. Yeah. So we didn't have all the accounts were created in 2023. So that reality does exist.
For sure.
But then there's also the secondary reality of, but weren't new to this. Mm-hmm. So therefore we have prepared ourselves. Mm-hmm. We have maintained, and myself have maintained saying yes to things that even put me behind the scenes most of the time.
Yeah.
So that I could have experience on other people's dimes.
100%.
100%. Because there were when we were doing it in COVID, there were stuff that didn't work, and I would tell the Bernice and her team and the King family, the King family, King Foundation, guys, this is new technology. The this dropped, or we lost this, or we got logged out of this. Like, that's not me. I can't control it. We're in COVID. Everybody is switched. This technology did not exist prior to just 2018, 2019.
Yeah,
so
it's being built as we speak.
Exactly.
We don't know, especially those early days when people are like, how long is this going to last? We got to figure it out. So all those things were being developed. But I love how you were, and you're always this way, being around you. You're learning and growing even in those moments because it's going to take you for where you're going to be going.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where I think a lot of people, that's why I can't wait to hear the topic of how to lead when you're not in charge. Because like leadership, the moment you go, and you're probably going to say it or whoever's going to be speaking.
It's going to be me. Yeah.
The moment you go for a title is the moment you lose all influence.
Yeah.
Titles don't give you anything but maybe get you in a room, but it's true influence and leadership. You could lead from the top, you could lead from the middle, from the bottom. Yeah. And so really learning those things of like being faithful and being a leader, even when you're not maybe owner or like the chief visionary, but you could pull from so much, like you said, on other people's dimes, but you're learning, oh, this works, this doesn't. And then starting something also from scratch, but you have all this history behind to bring momentum into what you're doing. Yeah,
and like, to your point, like, title may give you authority, but it doesn't give you respect.
No.
And, people will go to battle with you at the end of the day, not because you have authority, it's because they respect you.
Yep.
And so what I try to do and try to be is a person that's respected, because you can ask more of people when they respect you than what you have with authority. Because whatever you have with authority, there is always a boundary, because they're not a slave.
For sure.
So when the clock hits 5 or when their vacation time is their vacation time, or that, like, they're disconnected from you. They don't care about you. But if they respect you and just for some reason you need to get a hold of them or ask a question, they're like, oh, I respect Adam. I'm going to answer back. For sure. Even though even though I know I'm doing this or doing that, or I'll do the extra mile because I respect the leader.
And you're not asking it all the time. It's not like you're like, answer every single time. But because you're putting it in, if there's those moments that come up, like, no, I know he loves us. He's got our back. I'm going to step in and respond to what he's saying. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, I mean, that's why, I think those topics are going to be fun, but also the technology one's going to be fun. And I kind of said it at the sprint yesterday, and I'll go more into it when I do social media. So I'm basically talking about it after it's already happened. Yeah. But I was at a golf fundraiser last week. Yeah. And I got my dad had to bail last minute for something, and so I got paired with a guy that was in his late 30s, and he owns a fairly successful company. In another state. And I guess he just has invested 2 full-time salaries into a marketing division at his company, and. Day one, we have fun. We're talking, blah, 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 kind of where second day, he's like, hey, so I kind of mentioned, you kind of mentioned that you used to have a marketing company. What was it like? And when did you sunset it? So I tell him it was like this. And, this is when I sunset it and all that stuff like that. And he's like, so it was pretty successful. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I like to think so. Yeah. It was doing well. So I said so much so that I couldn't do ministry and that at the same time. Right, I had to pick one. Yeah. So, he goes, hey, would you mind doing like a quick audit? Like, I don't know anything about marketing, but I'm investing all this money into it. And so I, go on their LinkedIn, everything, and, give him all the critiques, right? So I tell him everything I think he needs to do, and here's what you should be doing, and this, that, and the other. And, his head's spinning, and he goes, how long do you think I have to do this till I get fruit of it? And I said, you didn't start your company that way, or at least this is what I thought. I said something else, but in my head for a moment, it was like, that's not how you started your company. Yeah. You didn't say, how long do I need to run this company before I can start making money? You just said, I'm going to start this company. Yeah. And I'm going to grind. No end date. There was no end date. Right. It was, I'm going to do it till I can take care of my family. Yeah. Or until I've bled so much that it's just clear I don't need to do it. Yeah. So I'm like, when it comes to social media, especially if you're using it for business and leadership, is a lot of times they want to say, well, how long do I need to do it? How long do I need to invest in it till I can get, till I go viral, for sure, or until I get a certain amount of X
leads and clients. And I say, and I told him, what I did tell him is I said, hey, here's how often you should be posting. And I kind of just talked about our team and how we're doing. Like, how many videos a month do we do? Do we put out? 150? Just for podcasts.
Which is so crazy.
150 videos for 3 podcasts.
High quality.
High quality.
Yeah.
All with intention.
Crazy.
So I told him, I told him, because he was like, how often should I be posting? How often should I do video stuff? I said, so let me just tell you in comparison, our team, I said, we do 150 a month, obviously 30 days, in a month. And so I said, you can only imagine how many, that's 3 to 4, a day, depending on what it is. And I said, so, because he was like, how, he goes, right now we're doing 1 blog post a week, and then we're doing like 2 posts a week or something like that.
You're like, you got to up those numbers.
And then I had told him, I said, you need to do, you need to do 1 video a day, 1 post a day.
Yep.
And then probably 3 to 4 blogs a week.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh my gosh, I can't do that. That's a lot. And I'm like, well, you're paying 2 full-time salaries. You could do that.
They could do way more than that.
I was like, second of all, because then he said, well, how long do I got to do that till it gets fruit? I said, well, hey, what I just told you was like elementary school.
Yeah, for sure.
Posting.
For sure. You want to
I said, you want like fruit?
Yeah.
Well, then
post a video a day.
Yeah. You're
or
talking
a few
video
videos a day,
a reel a day.
Yeah.
This, and I'm like, so I was like, you're doing right now. You're not doing anything.
And
you're doing
and what you said is the bare minimum.
Is bare minimum.
Yeah, for sure.
And his head was spinning, and he was like, you're a grinder, huh? And I was like, dude, I don't, and I got a great team. It's not all on me, but I'm like, but we do, like, we work and we have contracts and all that stuff of people that help us with it. But it's like the expectation of, like, if you're going to do it well.
For sure.
So don't just look at the fruit of something and think, like, I'm going to give it a try for a few months. It's like when we started this podcast, say, hey, we're putting our head down for 3 years. Even if we have 1 listener, like, we would do it for 3 years.
So
and then
great.
in 3 years, we'll put our head up of water. We'll look at it, be like, okay, is this worth it?
Yeah.
And we measure it differently. Like we've just talked about, we don't measure our podcast financially because we're a ministry. So to us, it's impact and helping people and helping people grow in their faith, but also in their life. So that's how we measure it, you know?
For sure.
And so reach is part of that as well.
Yep.
But another person, if you're just in a normal business, it'd be like, okay, well, this has to make income.
Yeah,
you can
have to
measure
monetize it. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you think about when you think about your 3 years in, right, and going to season 4, going to or year 4 even, what is, you said don't look up for the first 3 years. And also maybe just some questions I was thinking of is for people who are listening as well, and probably those in the room, when they're like, hey, I want to start this thing. And I love how you said it, especially I know we get comments, emails, DMs, like, even if you have questions of these, be super detailed. I love how you said, you're like, don't just say, hey, I want to start something. You're like, no, I'm a mechanic and I want to open up to you, like really talk to us about what it is. But what are some of the things that were like, don't look up for 3 years, but what else were those things, those practices, maybe that you communicated or even didn't communicate, but you knew, hey, I'm not going to look up for 3 years, as well as think through people that are starting something fresh, like, don't look up for 3 years, but what are some of those things that you just do, like breathing, or even you told the team, hey, this is what you want to do, just like you told the guy. You like helped him with like a kind of a bare bones one, and then you're like, hey, if you really want it to be impactful, you got to do this. What are some of those things? And then thinking through too, like, what are you excited for? I mean, we asked it in the beginning, we didn't get to it, but what are you looking forward to in season 4?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Some of the things we started with was that what we said. I think also what I have to do on my end is constantly evaluate, can our team handle the consistency of that kind of pressure? Yeah. And do we need to, inject finances if we feel it's important to maintain it? Yeah, for sure. And so, I try to support the team as much as possible when they come. And, recent example was like, hey, Andy's doing some other things and he's doing this. And, hey, we want to hire another company that's going to help us continue to cut clips and, like I have to, on my end, I have to be willing to support as the team gives me feedback that, hey, we're hitting a voltage line. Like you keep riding us, either, someone's going to quit, or, somebody's going to walk away or this is just not going to do what we hope to do. Right.
For sure.
Or they'll self decide and be like, I'm just not going to post anymore. And I'm so busy. I wouldn't notice,
for sure,
for the most part, right?
Sure.
It would take some time,
or they'll pull back their excitement. They'll still be there, but they're not.
Whatever, or they just don't believe in it anymore. Like, what are we doing here? So we're all in a studio. We're all in our own world right now. It's like we have to step out of this world
for sure
to go and read the DMs and the comments and the emails and to put together, this is making a massive impact.
For sure.
But we don't know, while we're in this room, we don't know that.
No.
There's 4 people in a room.
Chopping it up,
So that the concept of like regularly understanding, hey, this make an impact. So for us, in our sense, we have, being a ministry, we have to measure, impact and growing, helping people grow and develop. And so at the beginning it was, hey, we're gonna grind for 3 years, but also as that's happening, I'm gonna tilt the show, to what we know needs to make an impact. And so
for sure.
Though a conversation may be good or interesting, it's like, hey, we may not go there. That may not, because I know overall that's not really where a lot of people are at. And so what I've had to do through the time is like, just because certain things interest me or certain concepts or whatever it is, or it's very hard, this, it's very hard during election season, not to tap into us. But for us, just specifically for the podcast,
for sure,
we want to maintain somewhat a political neutral stance so that, we can help people grow in all other areas, because just a lot of people don't have a lot of maturity when it comes to politics today. The moment you give a nuance that you're this or that, people shut down, tune off, unfollow. And I want to help people get to Jesus as fast as possible.
So good.
And, and I think people's political convictions are important. It's just not necessarily something we've had. So it's like, we've gone through many election cycles. Now being 3 years, and we've gone through a few, and I think there will be a future. You talk about excited. We've mentioned before, we will one day have a seasonal podcast called Beyond the Ballot. One day, where we will talk about but it won't be me. We'll interview individuals who are Christians, who have, spectrum beliefs. And I will investigate. I'll push like I normally do.
That'd be great.
But it won't necessarily be my beliefs. It'll be an individual's beliefs that they're willing to share on the podcast. But they're also, intellectually sharp enough that by me asking questions, it won't come off like I'm like bullying them, because
you're just digging into what they believe. And would you have multiple people from different backgrounds? So you'd have someone who's like Democratic, one independent, Republican, another party. And you talk about, that would be great.
And I've talked to pastors before. Like I know pastors, like one friend I have, he's a Democrat. Another, I know, obviously I know a lot that are Republicans. So I've asked them before, hey, would you come on? Would you even talk to a Democrat pastor and hash through some concepts and let me investigate almost as if I was
the moderator.
A moderator and a believer that's just posing questions.
For
and
sure.
So,
would be
that'll
crazy.
Happen in the future. Like that is a goal.
Crazy.
Beyond the Wealth is goal. Probably not weekly podcast. Definitely Beyond the Ballot would be a seasonal thing.
Seasonal would be cool. Before election cycles could be really great.
Yeah. I think the goal beyond the letter has always been, one of the goals has always been, mental sharpness, to help people think better, be less emotional about the things that they believe and the things they think about, to show people different perspectives and angles when it comes to things. And
I think be curious about a wide range of topics. We get so pigeonholed by ourselves or others, by our circles. Like we all have a circle. That's just the truth. So if you're not actually intentionally, metaphorically saying swimming upstream, you're just going to be in your circle, in your lane. And so I think that's what's really cool, I think, about this podcast, talking with you and anyone else who's on, is that we get to discuss things and then also be okay with, I don't know that much about that topic. Don't make things up. You can lean in, share your opinions and thoughts, but then also go and do your research. How many times are we sending each other, whether it be videos or things or talking with our friends, but then that allows us to dig deeper into that topic. So that's what I think is really enjoyable. And then I think that there's a beauty of people want to hear this kind of conversation where we're just sharing our thoughts. And we're also able at times where we're like, hey, we talked about this a few weeks ago or months ago. My opinion has changed. And I think people love that because we're not so dogmatic in the place of like this, and this. There are certain things we're going to share passionately, but there's other things that we're open-ended of what we're discussing, whether it be through technology, whether what we're talking about through AI. And that I think is what people really want. But people want to hear about a wide range of topics, right? Where we could talk about sports one time, where you could talk about technology another time. You could talk about like different aspects in that way, which I think is beautiful. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I think that's what's important. It's you can't, one of the things I get feedback about the podcast, is people say, wow, you know a lot about a lot of different stuff. Well, I've been around a lot of people that I don't agree with, but I investigate and I curiously, and I don't have to be right in that moment. So there's a lot of people I'm around regularly that I'm like, no, I don't agree, but they wouldn't know that because I don't need to. We're not on a platform. Yeah. I don't have to prove my beliefs in that moment. So as I'm listening, I'm just investigating and I'm getting awareness or learning new things that I didn't even know. Where I think a lot of times we would go like, I've been at stuff where it's like, hey, this person's leading a breakout with this thing, and I'm like, I have zero interest in that person because that person like is not someone I'm a fan of in a particular way. But I'm like, oh, but what they're talking about seems interesting, so let me listen to that. Or I'm on YouTube and I'm like, I don't like that guy.
For sure.
But let me listen to that podcast because where a lot of us, we look for, it's Instagram-based lifestyle. So we look for things that affirm us. We look for things that we agree with.
For sure.
So we look for the podcast we agree with. We look for the news source we agree with. And that's fine. Yeah. But if you want to be, rounded where you can talk about and go in many different directions, then you have to approach things with a childlike wonder and be like, oh, I'm going to investigate that more and develop an even more deeper, conviction for or against. There's been many times I've done an episode with Will where he has said stuff that I don't agree with.
Yeah, for sure.
But no one on this podcast would know.
Yeah.
Nobody would know.
Yeah.
Because,
because you're not saying, oh, I don't believe in that. You're just listening, responding, thinking. Yeah.
And I ask more questions. I'm just like, well, what makes you say that? Or what do you, what do you think about X, Y, and Z? Yeah. And, and I'm sure I've said some stuff that Will has gone like, oh, I don't, oh, that's just Adam or whatever. Right. Yeah. Yeah. But it's like, the podcast isn't necessarily a debate. It's discussion of life ideas. Yeah. But the main root for us is that we do it with a Christian perspective. We do it with a faith that's submitted to God. Yeah. That follows Christ. All those things like that. And so for us, there's a grounding to us. Yeah. And in some ways, someone could say a bias. For sure. Which is fine. Yeah, we are. There biased. Is a bias to us that my life is principled through my relationship with Jesus. And so. Every perspective I have on,
it's all going to be shaped by Jesus.
Yeah,
it's all going to be
movies,
shaped by
technology, dating, marriage, everything, right? Yep. Rooted faith first for me,
for sure.
So, I that's what's important, I think, for people. But what's not rooted for me is being right first. Yeah. So my faith may be first. Yep. As long as my faith doesn't feel like it's being challenged, for sure, or pressed opposed, then I'm good with that, what people say. And I've said before on podcast, we talked with, we did an episode with Julian and you and stuff. And we were talking about certain prophets and I was just like, bro, I'm uncomfortable with that. I think those guys are phonies. For sure, for sure. And Julian's like, no, I think they're the real deal. And that is how you get better. Yeah. He didn't win me over. I still think they're phonies, but
especially if you're trying to pay for a blessing.
Exactly, I still think it's phony. But he had good insight for me. It's like, sure. Oh, okay.
And I think that's the difference between where we're at right now and even like in this age, maybe social media, maybe it's millennial, Gen Z, however you want to like land it, is where before it's like we have to agree on everything, and if we disagree on something, we can't either be friends or be in the same circle, or I can't respect you. But now there's this beauty, I feel like, that we could, like even how we talked about, we could disagree, we'd be like, oh, that's phony. Oh, I respect that. And we could still be like interested in it, but still be friends, still move forward in conversation. And that's what I love about these platforms. What we get to do is like, we really want to challenge people to think, to be curious, to be sharp in what you're thinking about. I would say a third one that I think you do a great job at, our team, even when we're on, is asking questions. Like really, if you want to be sharp, if you want to be curious, really be intentional to ask questions. And then I love what you said is like, I would challenge people, even though those are watching this pod, is don't just lean into, like we said, the people you listen to, the Instagram kind of reels that are geared towards you. Start, maybe even this week, like listen to a podcast or look at a video of someone you disagree with, or even it's like maybe a topic, and just listen to how they're like, really try and lean into how they're thinking, where their framework is coming from. And you don't have to agree with it, but you get to see a different perspective. Because if all our circle is like, hey, we just like these kinds of chairs, but someone's like, I actually like a couch. You're like, let me hear why they like a couch. What are they passionate about? It allows it to be like a joyful thing, because we're going into it, and it like with a discovery versus being like, oh, they're different, so then we're not gonna be with them. So those are some of the things that I've enjoyed, even in the times I've been on the pod, is to be able to have those kind of conversations.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, I think that's important.
Yeah.
And it sets a good example, because a lot of people aren't doing that today.
Yeah.
And I think the next generation wants to do it. I think they want to, whether they're people of faith and they want to, understand friends that don't have faith, or just in general, I think the next generation is not wanting to be so black and white on everything, because we don't live in the black and white world in that sense. It's like there are gray areas, and there are hard, and I said it even last night at our sprint. I'm like, hey, everybody's here united, because I was talking about vision. I'm like, vision brings alignment, and you all are here because you're aligned one of two things. Either A, you want to be a better leader, because it's on leadership, and B, potentially here you're a Christian. So therefore, that alignment unifies us.
For sure.
But if I started going down the row and going like, hey, what do you guys think about abortion? What do you guys think about LGBTQ? What do you guys think about immigration?
Yeah, what's your political party?
And then you have people raise hands.
For sure.
All of a sudden, those tables that people are talking and exchanging numbers, they're gonna start deleting that number real quick.
For sure.
Because those concepts and ideas, as we feel quote unquote passionate about it divides us. And so every day you go to work, why are you and your coworker not fighting every day, even though you guys fully disagree? Well, because you're unified for one paycheck.
100%.
So you're willing, though, that you disagree with this person, that you will work with them, that you will, exchange paperwork, exchange emails, because you both on the 1st and 15th want that thing to drop into the bank account.
100%.
And so you guys have a common mission, and it is to get paid. So therefore you put your differences aside.
100%.
But the moment we take it in our personal life, we go, oh, well, there's nothing to unify anymore.
100%.
Cut you off, done with you. We disagree. You believe in prophets, I don't believe in prophets. You're done. You believe in this, I don't believe in it. I'm not saying that truth is relative. No, there are things that are true. But people are on a journey to find that truth. And so therefore, just because I have gotten there, what I feel is, if I feel that I have gotten there before someone, doesn't mean that I have to cut them off.
That's it.
That's it. And so, it's not, oh, what you believe is true, and what there is tends to be, for the majority of things, there's one right way, one right belief, and one other than, there are some gray areas, but there's one right way of thinking. There's only one Savior. There's only one King, his name's Jesus. But if someone said, well, I don't believe that, I'm not going to be like, okay, well, we can't talk anymore.
No.
I'll be
I think we forget how long it took us to get to where we are.
Yeah.
We have amnesia with like the journey and the patience the Lord had. I might have said it already on one of these pods, but it's like we get so frustrated with people on their lack. Maybe it's people we're pouring into in a Christian context, discipling. Maybe it's coworkers. And we get so frustrated at the time it takes them to get something, but we forget how long it took us to get it.
Yeah. For sure.
And so I think what's really cool to do, what we get to do is we're representing Jesus, right, to a generation, or we're representing, right? It allows us to, like, when people do disagree and they're expecting to be judged, or maybe they're on the journey with Jesus, they're not following him yet. We just say, like, hey, we're here, we're around. And that's what's really beautiful, is when they're like, wow, like, you're not, we're gonna if they're asking us, we'll share our convictions, we'll share our beliefs, we'll share that we believe in absolute truth, all those things. But then to allow them that time to journey towards something, I think that's the beautiful thing. And I love how you unpacked it. We're saying, hey, if you're in a job or a vision, that aligns people that if you guys were all just hanging and sharing all your hobbies or sharing all your likes and dislikes, you would probably only like one or two people, right?
Yeah.
And that's the truth of what vision and occupation and those circles kind of bring together. So
For sure.
Yeah, that's where I'm like giving people that time and space to be on their journey in the same way that we had our time and
for
space
sure.
to be on that journey. So
Yeah, and everybody's got to process things differently in that way. And, there's people I've been sharing my, praying and sharing my faith with for 3, 4, 5 years and just starting to have them ask questions about who Jesus is. But it's gotten to a point, and they have different pains and different traumas and different reasons why they don't follow God. And, there are reasons that, I didn't have experiences with and stuff like that growing up. And so, one of my goals is like, okay, how can I be an example of faith in a person's life, of consistency, so that finally, as their wall goes down, they're just like, okay, I just got to ask, man. It's just, you just, I've seen the world, what's happened. I see what and everybody I talk to is like, ringing the bell and they're mad at cutting everyone. It's like, dude, you won't, you're impossible to offend. You're you let me ask the most offensive questions or whatever, you're never offended. I mean, you got to tell me like, what is this faith thing about? Because,
100%.
and so it's that example that I think through the podcast is like trying to show that example regularly. That's like, you know what? I could bear disagreement a little longer to get to the point to represent my faith to someone. Where so many of us like, oh, I'm offended, I'm out. I'm out. Or even offended by other Christians. Oh, I'm offended by Christians, I'm out. And it's like, that's so silly because I've never met a person that acted that way that was content with life.
For sure. They're always mad at something.
They go from church to church, friendship to friendship, relationship to relationship.
And it's just all these like wires around. You can't like, got to walk on eggshells. You can't touch anything. So I think that's crazy. But
well, everybody, thanks for joining us today. Thanks as we're August coming up to October. For those that have been around from the beginning,
season 4.
It's been fun. October we rolling into season 4.
That's amazing.
Yeah, bro, it's exciting. It's been a fun journey, and I think 2026 to 2027 is gonna, in some ways, ramp up more. And
man, you gave us a little sneak peek beyond the wealth, and beyond the ballot. I know there's 2 or 3 in the chamber, but those are 2. Those are good.
Yeah, those are the hitter, and obviously we're going all in on Bible Club, but that's church resource. That's believer.
Which would be
Bible
cool.
Study,
I'd say this at the end. Like anyone who's atheist, agnostic, you don't believe in God, but you want to lean in and learn about it. That's a great resource just to lean into it.
15-minute episodes.
It's really great. Allows talking through the Word. I think that's a cool thing to look at too.
Separate, you got to look it up. Bible Club Podcast. You'll see it. See me and some of our team.
And reminding them on the sprints. What is it?
PatriaSprints.com.
Check them out. There's a bunch of them.
Sprints.com.
And our leadership ones should be up, right?
Yes, and then very soon I think right now I've shared it already. I wrote a book that you can get digitally, short, 40 pages, Anatomy of a Godly Man. You can go to what is it, guys? AdamMessa.org. AdamMessa.org to download that. We have physical copies, just not up yet. But you could actually get the digital for free. And then by the time this airs, there may be an additional prompt on AdamMessa.org where we're working on like a 7-day devotional to do in Galatians. So
that's cool.
Anyone wants to do a short little 7-day devo, that's going to go on AdamMessa.org very shortly. Might even be by the time this airs. So when you go, if that's there, you'll get the Devo or you'll get the book. Either way, you can go to adamessa.org to get those things. And that's what I'm talking about, things we're ramping up, that we want to get more resources in people's hands. We want some more stuff that you could do kind of through reading and book and devotional. And then also, down the line, partner with us to help us to continue to reach people. That would be incredible.
Come on.
All right, everybody. Peace. Thanks for joining us.